No, I thought there was a major problem, but it was a minor problem, and I solved it. I am looking good. I love looking at waveforms as they form. Is that weird?
Yeah.
All right, great.
Yes, you're French.
With us today on 1Upsmanship is Ryan Pequin, who snipes from afar and makes you feel bad about yourself. Say hey to the people, Ryan.
Hey to the people.
All right, great. I didn't know you'd be so Stephen Wright-ish when we asked you to guess.
God, I'd love that.
But based on three-word phrase, I should have expected it because you're a wry guy.
It's Rye, but
Rye Guy. That's my nickname.
I don't know if is that the tone you'd use to describe that?
I think Fry Guy would sue you for copyright
Certainly. So not out in fucking public, you wouldn't.
Well, I'll say right out of the gate, there's a few ties for first because I freaking love webcomics. Chris Onstad is a real hero of mine.
Yeah.
But three-word phrase is right up there, man. And I know you probably, because I've experienced this, despite finding a fan base who appreciate your work, you probably feel like you're just a guy. Like you're just yourself, right?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, great. You know you're special. Okay.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Because three-word phrase is absolutely special. It's an amazing webcomic. Everyone check it out if you know us and don't know it.
Thank you.
And we just found out, can you recap what you were telling us about storyboarding? Because I sort of downplayed inadvertently what a storyboarder is for our audience.
Oh, my
Can
goodness.
you guys see each other?
Not at all.
No.
Okay.
Is that necessary?
It's
That's
strange.
nice. It's nice that you're peeking over the laptop now.
Is it necessary? No.
Well, since we got the claret, which is roughly 8 inches high, things have changed. Yeah.
Right.
It looks like he's like Mr. Oz, but like the Wizard of Oz back there.
can
Or
see
like
just your
Wilson
eyes.
from, that was his name, right?
Yep.
Wilson? Yeah.
Yep.
You're my
It's-
Wilson now.
Okay, so my laptop top for the audience at home is now the fence between Tool Time Taylor. That was his name, right?
I think so.
Man Taylor.
Did he always wear that floppy sailor hat? Did he stick with that the whole run?
Wilson or Tim?
Wilson.
I think so.
I don't think so, Adam.
Like the.
Oh, my God.
Sorry.
Wow.
Wow. All I remember is that in the final episode, they played Green Day's Good Riddance. Wilson showed his face to the audience, and I literally cried.
Did you really?
Wait.
I cried.
He probably had a Ganondorf face. He's probably a monster.
Yes, Good Riddance. I see a look of confusion on your face, Ryan. Good Riddance was also used in the Seinfeld.
Yeah, that's where I was
behind-the-scenes
going.
special.
Okay,
Yeah.
It was used
interesting.
in every high school graduation for 5 years.
Wow, I expected more from Seinfeld at least, but I guess not. I just also want to point out your laptop top says Predator on it. So
really does.
every
What
time I
is
look
this
over
show
at you,
now?
my anxiety is peaking.
I don't know if this is a show yet.
Yeah, Small Beans fans might like to know, I guess, for the sake of launching Small Beans. I had to return my cracked computer, of course, because we all got laid off.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm speaking out of school. I know I am, but I don't think anything will come of it. Cody kept his.
I knew you were gonna say it. I knew it. I saw the tattling in your eyes.
Cody Johnston kept his cracked
Sure did.
laptop, valued at upwards of $3,800, and just didn't mention it.
You know what Cody is?
And
Street
it's
smart.
fine.
He's street smart.
'Cause
Cody
he-
sees things we don't see.
Well, we all saw that Cracked was being taken over by a shit operation and we were all going to be fired. Cody's the only one who thought, that means I could keep stuff. But anyway, yes.
It's a wise man.
I bought a cheaper laptop that's marketed at online gamers. But because of that, it's good for video editing. It has the right card and all the RAM. So whenever I start it up, it basically makes the Transformers noise, like the Decepticon noise.
It really does.
Yeah.
It screams at you.
Yeah.
There's no way to turn it off. And red lights light up, and it goes, Predator!
What age is that laptop for, ideally, in your mind?
Probably a 17 to 19-year-old, yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think maybe a little younger.
Edits a mean video.
15 to 17.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is the laptop for somebody who just found out about Doom.
Because the things
Like,
I'm
just like,
masturbating to on it are
Yeah.
for a much more seasoned porn watcher.
I'm sure.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm sure. It's also Predator themed. I'm sure. All your
Oh,
masturbation
no.
fodder.
Hey, where are we going with this? All right, that's too far.
We're going where you started, buddy.
All right. You might not realize it, but this is 1Upsmanship. We've been excited to have Ryan for a long time, so we're silly, I guess.
Yeah.
But we should get into format. Today we are covering, in case you didn't read the title, Ryan, you want to do the honors?
We're doing Horizon Zero Dawn.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great. Let's
I think
pass
so.
our first checkpoint.
If that sincerity didn't do it for you, I don't know what will.
And enter the speed run, which is basically where we quickly explain what the game is to someone who is dumb and has never played it.
Yeah.
Whatever that means to you. We usually invite the guests to do it unless they're too chicken shit.
And I can do it.
Also,
Great.
make sure you make them feel how dumb they are for not knowing what this game
Well,
is.
some people I noticed tackle the plot. Some
Yeah.
people
Yeah, yeah.
tackle the gameplay mechanics.
Yeah.
And either is fine. It's whatever it means to you.
Yeah, it's a Rorschach, if you will.
Yeah.
You tell us, but it tells you too. You know,
And then
it tells
you
your
cleave
story
a
to
dog's
us.
brain in twain.
Yeah, exactly.
But the clock has begun.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'll point out before I even talk about the game, like I'd never played this game until you asked me if I'd ever played it. So I said, I'll play it. I
Love
played
that.
it as fast as possible. So I played it like it was my job for about a week. I played just through the main game, and now I will attempt to my best to remember. Okay, so you start as you're a little girl, and you're like in this tribal community, and you're being raised by a father figure. You're part of a tribe that doesn't like you.
Plot. He went with the plot.
Oh, should I not have?
No, don't question yourself.
This game is
Believe,
so plot heavy. I
believe.
feel like that's like what the
Yeah,
whole
believe.
thing is.
Yeah.
Believe
okay.
in it.
Okay. So the tribe doesn't like you. You don't know why the tribe doesn't like you. It's because you're special, but you don't know why you're special yet. You're a teenager, so you're angsty and you want to prove yourself to the tribe. And they have this like a competition where you can prove yourself. You do that really, really early in the game, which I thought was surprising. I thought you'd have to do that way later, but you prove yourself, and it's great. And then a bunch of people die. And then also, the world that you live in, all the animals, not all of them actually, lots of the animals are robots.
Yeah.
And you don't know
Yeah,
why that
yeah,
is.
yeah.
That's a big point that I
Love this
probably should
game
have
in a
already
nutshell.
brought up
It's
earlier.
amazing. Yeah.
And you kill a lot of these robot animals.
You sure
That's
do.
like the whole point of the game.
Pretty much.
So, you prove yourself, a bunch of people die. You don't know why yet. People get blown up, and your father figure gets murdered horribly, and you're sad about that. And
Yeah.
then another robot shows up, and it's like tainted, and it's an evil robot.
Oh, no.
And that's terrible, so you're scared of that.
This is so good. I love what you're doing.
For some reason, which I can't exactly recall, your tribe decides to let you go out and figure out what's going on with the rest of the world. And you're like, cool, I'm going to do that. So you go out and do that. Oh my God. And so that's like the talky portion of the game. And then it becomes less talky after that. And I'm trying to remember. So from there, you find out that the Earth has been destroyed completely in the past. I'm jumping literally right to the end of the game
That's
because I
fine.
don't
And I think-
remember any of the middle of
That
it.
makes
mid-
sense.
well,
that
that's
makes sense.
true.
Wait. Let him finish. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
get to it.
Yeah, let me finish.
Can't I finish?
So, jumping to the end, you find out that the Earth was destroyed by a man-created war robots. The war robots took over the planet and killed everything on the entire planet, literally all of life, not even just human life, all life. And then you had to build. They got a group of scientists. They kidnapped a group of scientists who they later murder, and those scientists create a whole new planet by creating Gaia, who's a robot mother who terraforms the Earth, recreates it, robot animals appear, and then humans appear, although I can't remember how humans come back. And then with Gaia was an evil robot named Hades, whose job
You're
was...
high right now. Are you?
I am a little bit
so
because this
good.
is terrifying, and
It's so good.
there's so much story.
You're killing
Hades
it.
tries to kill everything on the planet, and you have to kill Hades, who is an evil AI, as well as kill another evil tribe who's trying to control Hades. I think,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
I think
and
so.
then you do, and then everything is fine.
That's right, or we're all wrong the same. Stop the clock.
What an excellent speed run.
Amazing.
Let me tell you what I liked about it. I liked the commitment. And it's really unfair to our listeners that they didn't get to see it. Because I saw it with my eyes. And like the passion and like the moments of realization, the fist clenching as
Yeah.
details came out.
Then Hades
It was quite wonderful. Really enjoyed that immensely. Can I
there's
add a
so
couple
much
quick
game.
things? I know it's a lot of
Go
game.
ahead, go ahead.
It's a third-person action game. It's not really a platformer. It's more in the zone of like Grand Theft Auto in the sense that it's open world.
Yeah.
And that you
I'd
are
compare it even more to Far Cry. Yeah.
Yes, except for it's third person. But yes,
Sure.
absolutely.
I guess
it's
Assassin's Creed.
it's primarily
The Division. That's the good reference.
Yeah, it's primarily a shooter in the sense that you use bows and arrows and traps and stuff.
Grenades, traps.
Yeah, you don't. And there's some inventory management. It's mildly RPG-ish, but not too much.
There's some Witcher, some Far Cry.
A little bit.
Some RPG.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And it came out last year in March, almost maybe a week before Breath of the Wild came out, which we all remember because we all forgot this game because of it.
Who's it made by? I remember that being important.
It's a PlayStation exclusive, and it's made by Guerrilla Games.
Who made... Sorry to put you on the spot.
I will
but
have to
your
look
phone
that up.
works faster
I will
than
have to
mine.
They
look
made
that
like
up.
a war game before, I think. And
They
then
made
they
a
never
very-
made a game anything like this.
Killzone.
Yeah,
Okay.
Killzone.
I was like, people are yelling at us right now.
Killzone
'cause
is.
they know.
I mean, this is one of the studios that I believe
Interesting.
Sony keeps around for exclusive games because like every
Okay.
publisher has a couple of studios that are like, you make games just for us.
You guys play Killzone?
No.
Yeah, I played Shadowfall. It's
Very
all right.
rote.
It's okay. Yeah.
So I do think this is the most important game they've made thus far. So I'm
Is this?
glad I'm talking about it.
I want to hear your rant about that.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah.
I've lost track of
That's
the
okay.
rails.
That's okay.
Well, yeah,
You want to pass that checkpoint? Yeah.
I guess I'll take the first rant since
think you
my
should.
brain is warmed up. Yeah. What I was gonna say, which fits equally well into the player one rant,
Yeah.
is that I thoroughly enjoyed this game despite its flaws. I think it's visually beautiful. I like any game set in like a nature setting, which is a saving grace for me for Far Cry, which I wouldn't care about otherwise. But I'm like, the trees sure are nice. It reminded me of a much better executed version of Far Cry Primal, which was sort of a caveman simulator. Because, I'm also enamored of, longtime listeners will know, I care more about world than gameplay. I think that's becoming, that wasn't clear to me till we did this show, so I'm learning about myself. But
Yeah.
I think it is true, and I kind of hate it. Like, I'm ashamed of it. I want to be a gameplay purist, but story can really gloss over a lot of problems for me. And in this game, the idea that, it's the fusion of sci-fi future and caveman past. I've read a few novels in that genre, but it's a very unrepresented subgenre of sci-fi, and I fucking love it. The idea of the post-human, like, yes, there's the apocalypse, only 8,000 humans live, all of society is erased, nature regrows, now society rebuilds, so your dungeon is like Grand Central Station and shit. I love that shit. So I was very into it. I do think it invented at least one new gameplay mechanic with the idea that all the monsters you fight have weaknesses related to different parts of their body. It's hard to explain, where bits fall off of them that you can use for crafting. I don't think I've ever played a game where the drops and crafting loop was so specific.
It's very specific.
And
for
besides
sure.
story, that's the only real thing, innovation-wise, I think this game has. But I love Ryan's facial expressions, by the
I'm
way,
just
as
realizing
he comes
you're
up
right.
with expressions. Or like he comes up with reactions, but is too polite to interrupt. Unlike myself.
Unlike me.
Yeah, but I'll wrap it up here. I liked it. I feel very much like I feel about the new Spider-Man game, which is it's a very promising first entry. The yellow climbing thing is stupid.
I agree with that.
And I'm excited for the promise of this franchise. I think it could be an important franchise. And Lieutenant Daniels is in it. I'm done.
I feel like you made an interesting point talking about like you love
Player 2 rant begin.
Am I allowed to jump in?
Yep.
And
It's
just
your
start
rant
talking?
now. Now it's your rant.
It's
You-
your
Okay,
rant
took the
now,
reins.
okay,
baby.
great. So, like, you were talking about you love world and not gameplay as much, and I really love gameplay, and I love world, and I feel like this game sits sort of uncomfortably in the middle of those two things, where the gameplay's not quite like sharp enough that you're just gonna get lost in that. Like I was talking to you about Dark Souls, which is like the world building in Dark Souls is amazing, but the gameplay is why I love that game. Like I was saying. When I first started playing Horizon Zero Dawn, I cranked up the difficulty because I thought it would make it more puzzle-like. Like I would have to think my way through the game more than I ended up having to think through it. And you don't really end up doing that. I ended up just brute forcing my way through the whole game. Like just shooting arrows, one kind of arrow at every enemy, aiming at their weak spots, which I never really realized is kind of the only innovation of the game. And that was like, when I had seen other people play the game, I thought it would be more about setting up traps, setting up situations where you would be able to defeat the enemies and like using your brain a bit more. And then, but when I realized that it was less that and more just like more traditional, I wanted more just world. I wished, okay, the game starts, when you start, the robots have already been corrupted for a while, so they're they're aggressive and they attack you and they're like bad.
And the
but I was
humans
thinking,
in the world are like, yeah, there's monsters around. That's the thing. Yeah.
But as I was playing it, the later I was playing it, I was like, I think you should start in a world where the robots are just animals, and you just walk around and you get to appreciate the universe, this new Earth full of robots, without it being. Because you start and you're already killing everything. Like the first thing you do is kill a robot. I'm pretty sure you blow something up. And no, that's not true. But you do it really early in the game.
Yeah, they're.
And I was thinking like,
something.
I just wanted to appreciate that planet because it's such an interesting concept. You have this whole new version of Earth that I haven't seen in anything else before, and it was like, I wish I didn't have to kill it right from the start. I wanted to just like watch the animals roam around and do their thing.
Yeah, the core sci-fi concept is dope, and that's another thing I want to get to. I actually love Gaia plot. It's cool. But it's not my time. Player 3 has a rayon on the tip of their lips.
I think the tip of my lips. I think you guys made a lot of great points. I agree with a lot of what you said. This game would have been the best game of any other year than the year it came out, I think. Like, I think it was a really strong game. I don't think it's a very robust game. I think it's fundamentally pretty limited.
Define robust.
By robust, I mean you have kind of one kind of experience for the most part.
Okay, yeah.
You have like mild puzzle stuff on the level of Uncharted.
Ryan made me realize there's no real stealth component, and
not
there could be
really.
Yeah.
And the traps are not great for creating new kinds of experiences. And I believe that Horizon Zero Dawn 2 will be a really interesting game if they go further in that direction. And just like the amount of bow and arrow we have, great. You did great. Now add some other things so that they also matter.
We'll make them effective. Because they seemed ineffective when I played through. Like
compared
the
to
traps, compared to just shooting everything, it was like it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Especially on the harder
Agreed.
modes.
Expand what else can be done to slay robot tyrannosaurs and, robot gazelles and such. That's one thing. I think that
I'm coming back at you.
I see you remembering it, and I have a fucking arrow ready for your brain. I think that the tribes in this are dumb. I think all the tribes are dumb. I think that they're basically indecipherable from each other. They're like, you can't distinguish them really. Like, they have names.
I don't remember what they're centered around.
You don't even remember the names
they
of
have a
them.
theme or anything.
They do though.
I do remember the names.
One you come
don't
from.
ask me to prove that.
I say exactly. So wait. I'm going to finish my rant, and then you can.
Yeah.
So I don't think they matter enough. Especially if you contrast them with a game like Fallout, where groups of people have very distinct differences and a tone and a mission statement. None of that carries in this game, and that's a problem. Except for I think the king and his people group are distinct from the Nora, but mildly so.
Nora, that's one.
I remember them because I have to, because I'm here with this mic. So I also think that this story is really good, and it's a great. This is a great sort of onion to peel back and a narrative to enjoy for that reason. I don't know why I want a second game narratively. I have no idea why I want that. Like, I think Aloy's cool. I like her story. I like her character. But I also feel like we did it. Shrug.
Hooray!
And this
isn't.
This is not Mario Brothers, where it's like I will play that infinitely because it's so fun.
Yeah.
This is a game that bet it all on what a cool concept and narrative we have, and did all this work to make a video game world plotted. Everything from this is why there's 3 kinds of sticks you can pick up to this is why everything's boars or turkeys or fish. There's reasons for all of that shit, right?
It's amazingly well explained. That's why it feels like a dense sci-fi story. Because when you get into Gaia's innards, they're like, oh, why are there these kinds of animals? This reason. Like, they really bend over backwards.
And, but here's
they did a great job.
Here's my contention.
Uh-huh.
It might be over.
Like, what else is there to know?
That might be it. We might have just had the experience. I know there will be a second game.
Right.
And they set it up. I will buy it.
Yeah.
I don't think
Right,
we need it.
Hades is not defeated, so
Right.
there will be a second
Doesn't matter.
game. Lieutenant
is
Daniels betrayed
Wait,
us.
I'm gonna finish my rant.
Frustrating.
You maniacs who keep. I don't think we need a second game. I think this is a complete experience, and I think it was a very good experience. And that's it.
Game on!
Yeah.
I got to throw out first before I forget because my mind is slippery. I just feel like you really bagged on God of War 4 with the, press X to make him do a crazy cinematic where he does a cool action hero move. But isn't that kind of what you're saying Horizon Zero Dawn should add?
I don't remember her
else
bagging on
would
it
you
for
add?
that problem. I don't know. I think that I just think there's more to be done creatively with this game. For instance, and I'm not saying it should go this way, but the exact comparison to it that I think is where it could go is Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto. That's an open world where there's all kinds of shit you can do in it. That's where ideally Horizon Zero Dawn could be in 2 and 3.
By the way, Ryan, game on is interrupt at will for the rest of the
Oh, great.
hour.
Yeah,
so
great.
Don't,
Great.
don't
Okay,
hold back.
cool.
It's an open conversation. I believe that this game in its ideal form is not just a hunting game. Like, I believe it's also, and it's not trying to be. Like, it's towns, and it's, like, helping with this world and exploring it and what else is in there. And I don't think it was populated enough to do more than hunt or set traps or, kidnap a fucking bull and ride it.
Right. I didn't feel particularly invested in any of the side stories. It just felt like an excuse or a reason to kill 10 of a certain kind of robot.
Exactly.
Although
the main
Red Dead
story
Redemption
is the
feels like
story.
that too a lot of the time. Like, I mean,
What does?
7 years
Red Dead
earlier.
Redemption does too. Yeah, much early. That's a good point. Yeah.
And also, Red Dead Redemption benefits from something that Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't, which is that when I play Red Dead Redemption, I'm imagining it was kind of like this back then. And that's fun.
It wasn't, but you can
I know,
imagine it.
but like it's fun to go see a thing that I already have an emotional given value for. Horizon Zero Dawn is starting from how much do I like the idea that robot dinosaurs are the future past? You know what I mean?
And what's
it's starting
interesting,
from that.
you have to be willing to accept that with no explanation, which is a pretty weak sci-fi premise, for about 15 hours.
A while, yeah.
Then they explain it, and you're like, actually, this is a strong sci-fi premise. But I bet there were people who were like, this is stupid.
I would
Robot
also
dinosaurs? This is dumb.
They also explain it in a kind of tedious way. Like, I was playing it like a job to get through it so I would know what happened. But at the same time, picking up all the little scraps and reading through because you're doing that
hate
for so much of
that
it
in games.
it takes forever
Yeah.
and it's not very engaging. And
Agreed.
even like when you're listening to the audio bits, which is like a little less
Tedious.
aggravating, but it's still like every audio thing is like a minute long and explaining some tiny piece of the world, but it all feels like vital to knowing what's going on as well.
It's not
so
as
you can't
well-
really skip it.
I think
You're right. It's not as well written as the exact equivalent in BioShock, where every line in it
now.
is so densely tone specific and you actually do get emotional connection to it.
Right.
This is just like, here's a fucking mammoth wall of bullshit to get the one sentence where it's like, this was a military operation. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I got it. Thank
Right.
you.
Then they took
You know?
us against our will and it wasn't publicized. Okay, plot
Okay,
point
great.
received.
Yeah, right. like I think the thing I love so much about like the new God of War game was how much of the story is just expressed through playing through the game.
Yeah.
And like the cutscene will be, it explains stuff that you need to know, and then you move on to the next section.
I was in love with the myths from the severed head. I loved that.
Yeah,
I
that
thought that
was
was
great.
cool, too.
And you don't have to stop to do that. You're not
Right.
in a different menu doing something, it's just happening.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I do think Ryan's hit on like a key point that it's taken us a while to get to, but I wouldn't mind if it derailed the whole hour. That's fine with me.
Sure.
Especially because as a habitual hard player, I have to like bow down. I'm a habitual normal player. So
Same.
audience should weight their respect for opinions appropriately. What do you guys think about the fundamental conflict between the idea that video games don't want to be movies because they want to be interactive? They don't want to just be cutscenes. That feels cheap in a way. What the fuck else is there to do? Has someone not thought of the perfect thing yet to advance story? Other than you find an object, whatever it is, and when you interact with it, audio, text, or video plays out. Like, is there any way for video games to transcend the idea of getting narrative. Is it Half-Life and things like God of War 4? Is that it? Just dialogue in media res or what?
I feel like, well, I mean, this is, it's not a super narrative like driven game, but like the Dark Souls universe I love, because when you play through those games, it gives you nothing except the stuff that you take in yourself.
Yes.
You're given so little exposition and so little like outside information just like forced at you.
Yeah.
But those games that, like, you could play through, like, when I played through Dark Souls 3, that was my first Dark Souls game, I ended that game having no idea what had happened, what the characters were, who, like, but if you play it again, or if you just pay attention when you're playing through, the lore of those games is actually super deep. It's super rich.
You said that
And
about
that's-
Super Metroid is kind of that.
I think Super Metroid is a precursor to like the Dark Souls and Bloodborne are games where their narrative is obtuse enough that it's like you don't have to know anything.
Yeah.
Just if you enjoy this loop, have fun for the next 40 hours.
But there is stuff
But if
there.
you want it, you can figure out what kinds of blood are different fucking
And
things
why.
or whatever. You
Yeah.
know?
Our audience just rags on me constantly because I've never played any Dark Souls. They seem too hard for me. I'm
They're not for
intimidated.
everybody.
They're
Like,
not that hard,
like-
though. Like,
I think they're kind of
Our
challenging.
most common comment, I think, is, Swaim, you haven't played Dark Souls? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, it's like it's become a real meme on the
has.
Discord. Yeah.
I don't know. The conversation around Dark Souls games being hard is weird to me, because it's like they are challenging, but they're challenging to me in the same way that any puzzle game is challenging, where it's like it's about repetition more than it is about being good at video games, which I find it
Yeah.
to be a dumb
Really? Because
argument
Bloodborne
anyway.
felt very reflex based.
It is, but it's reflex based after because dying is such a minimal thing.
Yeah.
You go in and you do it again and again and again until your reflexes are just because you know what's coming.
It's rhythmic.
It's rhythmic, exactly. It's not really like I have really fast twitch reflexes, so I'm good at this game like an FPS or something like
Right.
that. It's like, it doesn't feel like that to me. I'm terrible at FPS
It's like
games.
the guy
I
with
suck
the
at them.
hat does this attack. So I
Exactly,
do
and it
this.
takes
Yeah.
about this long for that move to come in,
Yeah.
and if I go to the right, I'll die. If I go to the left, I don't.
A lot
Like,
of video games are basically creating that kind of experience for quote unquote end game or advanced users, right? So like I know I always bring it up, I don't care. Destiny 2,
I was bringing up Breath of the Wild.
yeah, in a derogatory way, which is like
Not
why?
always, half and half.
Most of the time he does.
Don't give him those
Breath of the Wild?
coquettish eyes.
I'm giving him coquettish eyes. He's earned them with his wonderful attitude. Okay, so
Ryan, he's never looked at me like that in all the years I've known him.
oh.
I'm jealous.
Destiny 2 creates in the raid experience, right? Which is, I think, one of the great end game experiences in video games right now. Basically, you have to learn how each piece of it plays and die a
With
bunch of
fucking
times.
no help.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's the experience that a lot of hardcore gamers, and I'm putting that in quotes, want. They want to have to learn the rhythms of it until they get it perfect, and then the game says, "Congratulations, you get to move forward now." You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
and that's it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what a lot of gamers want.
Yeah.
I don't like that, although I do like it in Destiny.
You love Destiny.
That's the only
And
game I like
raids
it in.
especially.
Wow.
It's the only
'cause
game I like it in.
Raids are like, I can't even
They're
imagine
frustrating.
doing a raid over Dark Souls is like kids play versus a raid. Are
I
you
can't
kidding me?
imagine doing a D2 raid with no internet help and no one who know. Imagine just getting 6 guys.
I also would not do
and
that.
try to figure it out from scratch.
I've tried.
but
I've tried
for us
that.
all to be able to do it, someone did that.
But
and
that's-
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think
Right.
I think Bungie. See, and this ties back to your original question. Bungie is one of the only companies that cares about. I'm going to make something specific for the elite of gaming. Like I'm going to make something just for them, right?
It's not the whole game. There's overlap.
No,
with-
no.
yeah,
most
yeah,
of the
yeah.
game is for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, which is a problem, I would say.
Really? Because
Oh,
I don't do the
I-
raids. The only part I like is everything but the
Yeah,
raids.
I've
The
never even
raids are
tried a
too
raid.
hard,
I'm saying
yeah.
that Destiny is for everybody is a problem because it means the game that makes it, like the part makes it fun is a little watered down. That's a different
Okay.
issue. The end game stuff and like the higher difficulty stuff, and this goes all the way back to Halo 1, is for like, here's the 1% of gamers. This game's for you.
Yeah.
Like Halo, for instance, when you ratcheted up the difficulty, it was a different experience running through than when you do on normal.
Yeah.
You have it's a cover shooter and it wasn't before. The AI gets smarter. You have less ammo. Like it's a lot more strategic, and it's kind of the gold standard for changing how difficulty makes the game play. not the only
Right.
one, but it's one of the gold standards. For it.
Minesweeper, my friend.
Sure, Minesweeper is another good.
Great difficulty curve on that.
Why not?
Sucker.
Yeah, my frustration with Horizon Zero Dawn was that ratcheting up the difficulty didn't make it a trickier game. Like it just made it a more frustrating game because it doesn't.
Yes.
More dino
Like,
health.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
It just gives them more health, but your weapons hurt them less. Like,
Yeah, that's it.
But other than that, it's the exact same fight, the same movesets, the same everything. Hiding doesn't really matter that much. Like, weirdly, I feel that the perfect version of this game is just normal. Or easy even maybe, like, because if you hit the I feel like the satisfaction of hitting the right shot on a dinosaur and that dinosaur exploding into bits or whatever.
It's wonderful.
That's
It's real.
That's the point of the game. That's
Yeah,
what
definitely.
I wanted from the game. And when you do that and you hit it in the perfect spot and nothing happens, or you set up a good trap and it just walks through it and it gets like a tiny bit of health off, it's like, why did I
You
bother?
son of a bitch.
Like,
What is the point of life?
Right.
Is there
Yeah.
is there a time to be killed? Is there a time to be born?
I'd dive off this cliff, but there's a yellow painted rock below, and I would grab it automatically.
Yeah, exactly.
Aloy.
It's a real darkness.
I did find the climbing in this
Aloy.
game to be fun, though. It reminded
The what
me
now?
the climbing in
Oh,
this
yeah.
game.
I hated the climbing. in this game.
Not when you're on the yellow bits, the rest of it, because it turns out this game is very forgiving if you just jump, like you can what's the game? It's like you can Skyrim it like a horse, like you can
Yeah.
jump up.
You can.
of
You can. I want to come back to this.
It's not as forgiving as Skyrim or Fallout.
Nowhere
No.
near. Fallout and Skyrim both designed to, like, do whatever you want.
You can
Horizon
hop
Zero
a
Dawn's
few
like,
pixels at a time up any surface.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
Horizon Zero Dawn is very much like, do the 4 things we want you to do.
Yeah.
And like, do it in this gorgeous, mostly a navigable, if that's a word,
Unnavigable?
navigable.
Meaning, like, most of the map
Mostly
exists.
you can go where you want, but
Mostly.
kind of this way. you
But
know?
there's a lot of mountain peaks that are quote unquote too steep, and you just don't go there. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have like a wicked little theory that this game is essentially
A naughty little-
a naughty
Naughty little
theory.
hypothesis.
This game is essentially a really good demo. Like
Yeah.
it's
I see that.
It's not real. Like, I know they spent a lot of money on
So
it.
Spider-Man, by the way.
I agree.
Yeah.
I've played enough of it that I agree
I
with
haven't
that.
played
really good
Spider-Man
tech
yet, but
demo.
it looks
Can't
like
wait
that.
for the franchise to continue.
Yes.
But this is just promise.
I think Sony understands
Proof of concept.
Yeah, and I think, like everything else, nobody wants to spend the amount of money it takes to make a great experience until they know you're going to buy it.
Yep.
So, like, you know who can do that? Call of Duty and fucking Grand Theft Auto. Those games are always exactly what they fucking advertise. A lot of these games, like Horizon Zero Dawn, the first installment is like, isn't this pretty good? Didn't you get a B+ out of this motherfucker?
Won't you buy 2?
Yeah.
That's the real goal.
Two's gonna be.
Yeah.
I
Like,
will,
Two's
though.
we're gonna make it so much more. You'll get a second Aloy, like, or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
AAA games, and that bears out if you follow behind the scenes like business news on the video game side, especially the ones where they're launching a new franchise that's big budget. They'll talk about how the game's not ready yet, and then suddenly it's out. And they'll be like, but number 2's already announced. And basically that's code for,
This is all right. We're doing.
we
this.
ran out of money 3/4 the way through building it, but it's good enough that we think you'll be like, this is cool, I'm ready for number 2. Yeah.
I don't think there's anything disingenuous about this game in the sense that,
No.
in the way that I would say Fortnite might be a little disingenuous because it's still in beta.
Oh, they don't give a shit. They're drowning in money, dude.
This is not there's nothing deceptive about this being the first game, but
But
it's-
it feels like a first
It
game.
feels like a first game.
That's
and it-
okay.
and it feels like a really nice trial. Mm-hmm. Like, did you like it? Great, because now we'll make it for
And
real.
I think Ryan's right that as a trial, the last third becomes almost padding, where you're like,
Yeah.
I've experienced all the experiences. Good job having a story that's interesting enough to make me want to get to the end. But there's no new, I'm not going to, in like Super Metroid, classic for SNES, even
Right.
beats it on this level. They paced out their things very well, where you're like, I'm 3/4 the way through, and yet I got a new item that makes me interact with the rooms in a new way that unlocks new secrets.
it's so good at that.
Whereas Aloy, the whole last third or maybe even half, the plot is what's driving you forward.
Yeah.
You
And
do
I would
just want to know
argue-
what happens next. The loop doesn't change.
It doesn't change once you get the tripwires. The
That's
game
the end
is
of new
essentially
things, yeah.
you've got all the you're not going to use that fucking slingshot. Don't tell me you're using the slingshot. Somebody adds me with a slingshot, bro. we're gonna
I
have some
used it,
fights.
but for the sheer purpose of variety. Like,
Yeah.
I'd get bored of using
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
and use it
Yeah.
to
Right.
see how
I
it felt
wanted
different.
to use everything in the
I
game.
tried it. I've tried it all. It was like useless though. Combat. Okay, so I want to talk about your climbing thing. I want to talk about.
Oh, yeah, please do.
Okay, because it's bullshit. The climbing in this is bullshit, and you know how I know it's bullshit? Because I played Breath of the Wild.
And it came out the same year.
5 minutes later. And Breath of the Wild, you can climb anything, and that made it a super great experience. Aloy is way the fuck better than Link as a hero.
Oh, she's a
way
great character, yeah.
Way better character and way more capable and potent.
Human, interesting, engaging.
Especially when you get that fucking slick sci-fi armor, which I got at the end of the game, that's just chilling.
The
breaks the game.
shimmery one?
Game-breaking
It
armor.
breaks the game.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I agree.
Yeah, that's easy.
You telling
mode.
me she can't climb those fucking mountains except for where there's like engraved, painted handholds? Like hand
Well,
grips?
this is.
Yeah.
I think we're at a point where that's almost like a laugh track on a sitcom. Like, what the fuck are you doing anymore?
Right, yeah.
Because even in God of War 4, you would be on a sandbar, and there's a 2-foot hill, and on the other side is an item, and you know the game wants you to do an elaborate like path and puzzles to get to it. You're like, but it's right there.
Let me
I
jump
could
on
reach
it.
out and just
a-
grab that.
I'm literally a god.
Yeah.
I can't
Right.
step over this rock wall.
I could
What's going
shove this building over to it and walk on that building
I
to
could
get
say,
it.
boy, fetch that.
Right.
And he'd be back lickety split.
I could hurl him at it and then retract him to me like a boomerang.
Right, with the
you know?
chain?
Yeah, why not? You know,
I don't think there was child abuse laws in that time. So, yeah.
I'm certain there weren't. Just looking at how that game
Throw your
plot plays
kid,
out.
you say bite onto that power up, you wrap your chain around his ankle and yank him back.
Yeah, it's
I
like
agree.
the leashes that they have now.
Yeah. I just think that I know they're not going to do this, but they need to think of Aloy as being every bit as capable as Link, as any Grand Theft Auto character.
Snake in GTA 5.
She
I
needs-
guess Big
yes,
Boss.
that's a great one.
Shut
Yeah.
up, nerds.
Big Boss. Shalashaska.
Shalashas. That's Ocelot.
I know.
Revolver,
I don't care. I
Shalashaska,
don't care.
Adamska, Ocelot.
They all deserve one fucking name. That's how dumb it is. Shalashaska. Adamska.
Wait, what was... I always forget.
The Revolvster?
No, what's the... What's the name of the final boss in 5? It's terrible.
Oh, it's
Sahelanthrop-
Skullface.
No. The mech.
Oh,
is
Sahelanthropus.
Sahelanthropus.
Yeah, we laughed for an entire day after that. We recorded that episode and then like one whole day of laughter.
Yeah. Gabba
Like-
Gabba, hey, here's our new guest, the Sahelanthropus. Like, it's a children's show. It's
Nobody would
children's show
call
bullshit.
it that. They also
Yeah.
wouldn't call it Metal Gear. They'd call it Death Robot or something that
They'd
makes
call
sense.
it the pussy. If you call it Sahelanthropus, you think a bunch of jarheads fighting and aren't going to call it the big pussy in
Sure.
honor of Sopranos.
That seems like what they would say.
Ryan needs to talk more.
Well, he can't when we're putting this shit out in the world.
It's true.
Okay, how do you feel about Aloy climbing or the aptly named Sahelanthropus?
Yeah, either one.
I've
Either
never
one.
played Metal Gear, so you guys are just doing a little bit
Yes.
for me, which is fun. But the climbing sucks. I hate any games that have forced navigational stuff like that, where you're not playing, you're not doing anything, you're not making any decisions at all. You're just scanning for the next yellow dot and jumping. Like,
Right.
you're not doing anything.
Does that go
I really
back
hate
all the
gameplay
way
like
to
that.
games before open world games, or did open world games ruin those old games? You know what I'm getting at?
I don't know.
You know, because Mario is fully guided, but we don't, I think, hold it to the same
No,
standard.
but it's not in the same because you're at least in control of his body through the entire
Okay.
process of playing as Mario. You're not just sat in one spot and then it's like press A and you will hop over to this exact
Sure.
other thing.
That's true.
And
With
that's
no
what the climbing
possibility of
is.
failure or any kind of like you're not actually doing anything.
That's
a good-
key.
that's a good point.
You can't fall while climbing.
Yeah. Not
In
really.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah,
That's
there's-
what makes it feel pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is what it is. It's that you lose your capability and your control of the character to execute this other whole game loop that you
But that
don't care
involves
about.
risk, I think, is right. Like Ryan's right that like there's no stakes. That's the thing.
Right.
Right.
It's not. It's like it's the same as a QuickTime event, except you
Yeah, it
can't
is
even
that.
fail the. It's like if the QuickTime event was just like it just sat on the screen until you pressed the button.
I mean, there are some of these situations, like for instance in God of War, where they do make the jump puzzle have the consequence of having to do it over
Die
if you
and
fuck it
restart.
up.
Yeah.
But that makes me angrier, not happier. I'm not
Really?
like, now this is fun.
No, I do like that I die if the restart is easy and there's not a long load screen.
It's
I feel
better
like-
than nothing.
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
But also, don't do that.
Yeah.
You know?
I would say give me a stamina bar and
Right.
let me figure out how to get to the top. And if I don't figure it out, I
Right,
die.
so
you know?
Breath of the
Breath of
Wild.
the Wild's
Yeah,
the best
that's
climbing
exactly right.
system in any game.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, now
why not copy it? You're dumb
just
if you
take
don't
it.
copy
Yeah,
it.
just take it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, because it starts to mean like I don't believe this sci-fi world because she can't climb up a 5-foot rock.
Yeah.
Did you guys
Come on.
ever play? I can't even remember the title, which is terrible, but someone in the comments hopefully will plug it. It predates Breath of the Wild. There's a black and white indie game. It was 3D CG. You were post-apocalyptic zombie world, but all the zombies are also dead. And the only mechanic basically was this climbing system. So someone stumbled upon it before Breath of the Wild. Like all you did was climb from this side of the bridge to the other side of the ruined bridge and mark when your stamina's going to run out and like
Okay.
take breaks.
That's
and then
interesting.
Keep climbing. Yeah.
Sure. I want to get a little bit closer to what is good about the game.
You're right. That was a stupid tangent.
It's not that.
No,
I just,
it was. It was. Go ahead, please.
Well, no, you make a good point. Just in that could make an entire game. You could play a whole game that's just climbing mechanic with a stamina bar because it's a puzzle.
Yeah.
like that.
It was. There were a
it's
series
possible.
of puzzles, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was a high point of Breath of the Wild. But I do think.
Still not over that. Sim.
Well, I also want to
That
ask.
Sim really made my day.
Do you guys, are there any good QuickTime events, or does it always feel? And this was what I was getting at earlier with the narrative and gaming question.
Yeah.
Because this is, I'm ashamed to admit, but like as a fan of video games, my darkest moment of doubt is always, can this medium ever be a truly distinct medium? Because interactivity is distinct and unique and something interesting about this medium as an artistic expression. But how do you advance narrative without relying on media we already have? So like,
I mean, VR is the place where
I
it will
guess.
get more. It will answer more clearly the question you're asking, where narrative will be something closer to how we experience
Life.
narrative in life.
yeah.
But I don't know that I want to do that for fun, or at least I haven't seen the version of it that I want.
Because
for
without
fun.
narrative guidance, isn't it fucking tedious? Like, is there any
Well,
way
that's
to make
the
it
problem.
non-tedious?
That's why, like,
Yeah.
for
Like
instance,
life.
they make a lot of movies or videos now that are called 360 videos, right?
Yeah.
Where like you can put on a VR helmet and like you experience this thing, but guess what it is? It's a roller coaster. It's always
It's
a
on a
roller
track,
coaster
yeah.
because it has
Right.
to be, because they're not just going to build here's an entire universe for you to maybe discover our plot.
Something fun in.
You know what I mean?
But maybe
Like,
not.
Yeah, it's not going to be like that fucking cat's leash in Men in Black. You know, like that's not going to happen. You need to like have an experience. Yeah,
To be obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, every bit of media is you're led through it, right? Like,
Right.
so why would games not be that way? Like, you know,
of course.
Well, I guess film relies on music, obviously. It doesn't have to. There are films without score. But I just come from like the really analytical school of thinking about media in like these dry ways of like, well, music involves time but not space. Visual art involves space but not time. Film
Right.
involves time and space. So video games should be something completely different. But what is there that's not taken already?
Or there-
And my short version of that question is, are there any satisfying QuickTime events in gaming?
I would
Or does it
argue-
always feel like, what am I doing? This is just a movie with buttons now.
I would argue that video games need to be more, not different. They need to be additional to those other mediums.
Sure.
Because like those other mediums are how we experience narrative in life anyway. Like for instance, in life, the way that I experience narrative is a thing I read in a book or a thing a person says to my face or like an
Right.
act, you know what I mean? So like
Whereas me, I
books-
just see enemies everywhere.
and I take out my bow and I sling him in the eye. No, I, you know what I mean? So like movies and books are just recreating pieces of that for me. And video games are recreating the experience of going to get those narrative pieces for me. You
It's
know,
just
like-
interesting that, I guess, so yeah, so like poetry and prose and journalism all recreate life using this code we've all agreed upon that we just call language. Awesome webcomics, like 3-word phrase, recreated in this code that's a whole spectrum that we call visual representative art versus abstract, I guess, would be at the far end of the spectrum where you can't tell what it is. And then, so I feel like, what space do video games have to occupy? But I guess your answer gives me comfort, which is that nothing, unlike paintings, unlike sculpture, unlike poetry, video games are actually trying to mimic what it's like to live your life.
Well, that's the thing is like...
Which is, well, if that's the standard, we're still way far from that being like believable.
Imagine you had a really great experience at a museum. Right?
Okay.
You're going to go to a museum and it's going to be
I
great.
cannot imagine.
Fair enough. Try, though.
I love them.
You should have seen him try. It was beautiful. So... To get to a museum, you drive there, you get out of your car, you walk into the museum, you pay the thing, and then you go look at whatever it is. Let's say it's paintings. So the painting is the thing you're going to remember, right? The painting is where you're going to have the experience that's like, that was a good experience in a museum.
Uh-huh.
A video game is not going to create the painting. A video game is going to create the car ride and the walk to the
And
painting.
the whole museum.
And the looking at the painting.
Yeah.
And those pieces are not the thing that you would get narrative meaning out of usually in life. So the fact that you're doing that work in video games means that they have to find a way to make the car ride and the walking to the museum also meaningful to answer your question.
But you're making me imagine a video game that radically omits time the way film does.
Mm-hmm.
Like any time in GTA you have to do anything tedious, it just cuts to the interesting thing. And I would love to see that game.
I would love to see what that
play
means. What does
Yeah.
it mean?
Yeah.
Do I connect to the actions I'm doing, or is it like a
Where
fucking
was the driving
schizophrenic
part?
nightmare?
Why was this only 8 hours long? I
Right.
paid $60.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really it. Is like video games are trying to find a way to make the walk to the museum interesting. You know, they're also trying to deliver the
Yeah.
painting, but the walk there has to also mean something.
Usually that someone calls you on your beeper and explains part of the plot while you're walking there.
Or like
that's
you know,
what we've settled on.
Instead
as
of a
culture.
walk on a walkway, it's in space or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and there's shit shooting at you.
Dead Space is so good. Have you played Dead Space, Ryan?
I have
That's
not.
a fucking
It's
great
excellent. Very fun.
I've heard
Especially,
good
I would
things.
think, for someone who likes a challenge. And it's not that even that it's that intensely challenging, but it cultivates an atmosphere of dread where the whole time you're like, I'm going to fucking die. If I go around this corner, I'm going to fucking die again.
And
it sounds
It
great.
will be ugly when it happens too. Like
Yeah.
I won't die in a chill way.
I've
It's
seen
going to be
some-
a bummer.
I've seen some very miserable looking cutscenes from that game. Yeah, one involving an eyeball. I seem.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
They'll
a
rip
good
your
one.
eye out.
Yeah.
They'll rip that shit right
But
out.
then they have the part where you sit behind a Star Wars style laser turret and shoot at asteroids for about 25 minutes, it feels like.
I hated that.
And they
level
try to
so
make that
much.
interesting. That's what we're talking
Fucking
about.
hated that level. That level
Yeah.
made me angry.
I guess I like the idea of indie gaming expanding, and I like the idea of short games and games that are cheap so they can afford to be short, because I'm coming to realize that loops are important.
Yeah.
But a lot of 80-hour games could be 40 hours. In the same
for
way, I
sure.
think a Scorsese movie could always be half an hour shorter,
It's true.
and it wouldn't hurt it at all. It would be fine.
When you guys play
Yeah.
games, I know we've brought this up on the podcast before, but like, is that the only thing you're doing when you're playing
What
this
do you
video
mean,
game? Is
story
that the only,
or killing
no,
time?
The only thing that you're doing when you're playing this video game is paying attention to the video game? Is that the only thing you're doing at the same time?
I don't usually cut my attention from a game if I'm playing.
So you're not listening
Are you
to
talking
music?
about like
You're
having
not-
music or like looking at your? No, I actually don't. I
Okay.
usually just immerse myself right in it.
Okay. What
Yeah.
about you?
As opposed to every other piece of media on Earth, which I always have something else going on.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish I could say what Ryan said, but I'm going to be honest. I'm watching King of the Hill or Simpsons on a loop at the same time always.
Right.
What does that
Are
mean?
you absorbing
What are
it?
you accusing me of?
No, I mean, the reason I'm bringing it up is that, like, because that also tells you what part, like, what you're enjoying and what you're not enjoying
But I'm like
about an experience.
And it's true.
So
what
like if you have
happens
music
is,
on, the music of the game isn't quite.
or you are hoping to supplement the experience of playing the game with either
Comfort food,
or,
in my
or
case,
feelings
yeah.
that you like from this music. Or like, for instance, when I play Destiny, I'm blasting podcasts all the time.
Yeah, me too.
You know
I'll
why?
do
Because I don't
podcasts.
care about the story of Destiny. I don't care.
So it's just the game.
But you
the
do
gameplay
care.
loop.
You've cared at other times. You mean you don't care about the minute-by-minute experience of absorbing it?
After I've played it once, I
Well,
don't
you've
care.
pointed out that, and I'm trying to back up Destiny here.
Sure.
It's surprisingly deep if you look into it, if you do
Totally,
care.
and I have done that.
Oh, and you're done,
but I
so now you can listen to podcasts.
right, and I really like that, you know. And video games do kind of offer that possibility. A lot of these open world games where it's like, hey man,
It's
you don't need to
interesting.
tune in that much.
I
Like,
wouldn't
just
read a book
drive the car and
or
shoot
watch
the guy.
a movie or Yeah, I wouldn't split my attention in almost any other media. You got me.
That's interesting. Yeah,
I wouldn't watch 2 movies at once. That makes no
I don't know
sense.
how you
no,
could.
but I'll watch a movie and look at my phone, or I'll if I put something on my laptop or whatever, I'll dick around doing some other thing.
Are you really watching
the
Movies you've seen before, or new
I'm
movies?
not watching it as intently as I could. Like
But
I've
including
been watching
new movies you want to see, like that you're excited to see.
sometimes.
Interesting.
Sometimes, if I mean, it might just be that I'm so used to having my fucking phone in my
I think
hand.
we
but
all
like,
are, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll find myself just getting slightly bored, and I'll look at something else, and I feel bad about it. I shouldn't
That's
do
what
that.
I was going to say. Follow up. Do you
Yeah.
regret the amount you absorbed from the movie afterward? Are you like, I
Yeah.
should have been focusing more?
I was doing it last night. I watched the new Better Call Saul episode, and
that's
like
a great
a
show.
tiny
It's a
lull
great
happened,
show.
and I was looking at my phone. I was like, "What am I doing?"
And
And
that-
but
that
that's
show
just,
defies you to do that too, because it is a lot
slow
of lulls.
paced,
Right.
intentionally
Yeah.
so.
So I'm making myself out to be an idiot, like a dullard here.
No.
But like that's
No.
And we'll back you up on that.
Yeah, you please
No.
do. I felt bad about it,
But
but
I
like,
wonder, do you
yeah.
feel bad because society tells you that you're an alien who's isolated from humans if you look at your phone? Because I think we all have that complex in our heads to a degree. Or do you legitimately go like, dang, I missed valuable material?
No, I think it's more.
Okay.
I'm missing out on like the artistry of a TV show that's really good, and I'm not giving it its due by
Right.
looking away from it.
Well, and that tells me that the floor for what keeps me interested is higher than it used to be. Maybe that's because of
Yeah.
phones.
Aging
and-
too, I think.
yeah, aging, but also open world
I've seen
games.
TV before. I
That's
can
but
look away.
but it's true, dude. Like, I know people who are just a few years younger than me who think Mandy's so fucking great, and I watched it. I'm like, it's so transparently. Like, I'm so glad there's this renaissance of Black American and female voices bringing us new shit I haven't seen.
Sure.
And not to like slam all white creations, but Mandy and The Revenant and Drive and Keanu and John Wick. I'm like, this is such well executed versions of a story I've seen a fucking million times. They kill his wife, so he kills everyone who killed his wife. I fucking get it. Like, I need something to think about.
Sure.
Well, this is all unfolding before me.
Those are the wrong kind of movie for you to watch anyway. Like, I don't watch those movies because they're not interesting no matter
But
who makes
Mandy,
them.
the trailer literally had quotes like, changes the nature of storytelling. And you can understand how that appeals to me as a structuralist who understands the nature of storytelling. And it does not.
Okay.
It has new kinds of shots you've never seen about a guy whose wife gets killed in front of him so he gets revenge on everyone.
Yeah.
But that's all it fucking is.
Fair enough.
Spoiler
That's-
alert,
that's
retroactively
Set
on
dressing
Mandy.
and not storytelling.
I just want to finish the thought I was saying, which
I
it's
don't know
okay.
why
you're
I
fine,
went off
man.
on that.
You're fine. It's okay.
It's because I saw it last night.
See, this is all about that coquettish look. He's like trying to get it now. He's trying to earn that shit. RPGs are a dangerous genre for games to make and keep your attention.
Get out of the house
Because
now.
no, because they every single storyline is an offer to the gamer that like, are you interested enough in this to see it all the way through? And we're gonna have to give you a variety of story, otherwise there's no point in having this side quest. And that means every RPG is kind of a risky game. You know,
Yeah.
because like, is this interesting enough for me to put 100 hours into it? And I can't play Horizon Zero Dawn and podcast. You know why I can't do that? Because I got to read all this fucking dialogue and listen to
Right.
these people talk, or I don't care.
Yeah.
And then I'm not really enjoying this game.
Do you think Final Fantasy 15 was risky?
I hated that game.
But was it risky financially for them to make? I do think
No,
there's a
because
sequel
it's-
effect where they're going to get their money back.
Yeah, that's a brand that will earn
Yeah.
whatever they spend on it. But I didn't think it
I
was
guess
good.
you mean first installments, though. That makes
I mean,
yeah.
generally any RPG that isn't gonna sell for sure.
There's also
you know?
so many open world games that are hybrid RPGs now, though. The
Right.
line, I think, is becoming really blurred.
Mm-hmm.
RPG used to mean the fighting will be a series of spreadsheets that you select items from.
It used to be Dungeons and Dragons, and it's not
and then
anymore.
Deus Ex
Yeah.
came along and we're like, RPG can mean any game where you invest points to upgrade your shit.
Yeah, that's okay.
Which is everything.
I love
now.
that.
Yeah,
That's
right.
okay.
Oh, that's
I don't
interesting.
mind
I think we took the best part of RPGs and melded it into all the other games.
Let me. Can I? Do you mind if I change the subject slightly?
Well, yeah, we got to hit our final
Okay.
checkpoint soon, so I
That's
think
fine. This is the last. I think that Horizon Zero Dawn is one of those rare games where they really need to take the like to take all their structures off in terms of what kinds of weapons you could make. They need to allow you to use all the garbage in the most creative ways you can to create any kind of weapon you can imagine.
Sure.
Garbage
that
gun,
would be
garbage bomb.
Well, why not? Everything everybody wears is fucking garbage.
Well, and then it's more problem solving
Yes.
and less just pushing through with the same two things you do the whole game, right?
Everyone's gonna be like, no, the arrows are so fun. They are fun, but like, and sure, they can have that as a baseline. But like, I want to see some fool design the Mario Maker of fucking Horizon Zero Dawn guns. And
I
stuff.
guess
I want
but
to see that.
I don't need to see 32 arrows that all do roughly the same
I
thing with
agree.
different elemental
I agree.
effects.
Yeah.
They should cause different things to happen.
I agree.
That's
Yeah.
like game designers, have you not learned that yet? If you add like a different kind of ammo, it should affect the enemy in a different way. That's the fun of it.
I felt frustrated by that. It did feel like a surprisingly shallow experience for what I feel like I saw clips of people playing it and doing like surprising, interesting things, but when I played through it, those moments were more rare than I wish they were.
Yeah.
I
It's
guess
mostly
that's
hack
it.
and slash and get through
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's mostly like super cool, explode the dinosaur, and you're a badass, brave, inspired.
I did
You know,
love that
female warrior,
shimmering
and it was
armor.
cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. There was probably a good hour and a half of like, wow, what a cool murder I just made.
Is this a better game if it's not open world?
I think it should have been not open world,
Ooh,
or
I think
they
it
should
is.
go for it and
Yeah.
make it an open world.
Right. Yeah, right. Like really expand it and have it
Yes.
something you can. Well, I was going to talk
Yes.
about
I could see either way.
as an open world. It's also there was a thing that I noticed playing through, which is that when you get the map early in the game, the map shows you where everything is. Everything. All the cauldrons, all the
Yeah.
interesting points
Yep.
of note. So it's like I didn't have to explore anything. I just
Correct.
and you can fast travel. So anytime it was like, oh, I need this thing from this cauldron. Okay, this is the closest thing to that cauldron. I'll go there and then I'll walk 10 feet, walk in and then kill the enemies. But like, and the fun I had was killing the enemies and less the world building because you didn't have to actually interact with any of it. It didn't really
I
matter.
also think the environments didn't have memorable spaces. So like when you travel to a place, like sure, some of them
the
are
red
snow,
grass
some of them are.
fields stick in my mind.
But you know
But
what?
they never
don't
affect
have,
you.
They don't have like a set piece, like the
A ruin or
Yeah,
something,
Statue
yeah.
of Liberty in Grand Theft Auto,
Right.
or fucking any place.
Oh, yeah.
in
if you
Fallout or
stumbled
in
upon,
like
right, Wrigley Field, but it's all over.
yeah, they don't have.
demolished. That
They
would be
didn't have
cool.
that.
Yeah.
And
Right.
like, well,
Yeah.
you spent a fuckload of money making a really cool place and didn't make anything cool in it.
And I will say,
You know?
at least in like the sci-fi novel world, that's the fun, is having a wizard, a thief, and
Right.
a barbarian
Sure.
in the overgrown subway tunnels of New York. But they don't know it's that, but you know it's that.
Or even just like again, I'm sorry to keep doing this, but in Breath of the Wild, every place you go to has a distinct like landmark or something that's like, this is that lake. This is where that one temple is. This is where that weird statue with the broken arms is. You know what I mean? Like they're just things that are signifiers.
all right, passing our final checkpoint now.
But wait, do you remember any space in Horizon Zero Dawn? Like, do you remember any of the spaces, what they look like, or what? Like,
the towns, I mean, have like certain
Yeah.
characteristics to them, but the spire where you climb up
Yes,
was
that's the
interesting.
one.
Where you get all the information and you learn
Yep.
everything.
Agreed.
I was like, this is interesting, even though a lot of it is climbing. But it was very unique, and it was like a singular experience in that game that you don't have otherwise, because it's a lot of plains and a lot of
Yeah.
vistas.
Weirdly,
And-
very unique, and yet you climb an almost identical spire in Destiny at one point.
I'm sure that's true. I mean, but every game, like, there's a bunch of games like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have the
I don't
side.
fault it
You have
for
the horizontal levels, so you got to go vertical for one level.
Yeah.
Always a fun
I was,
twist.
or like another thing they could have done is just have elemental stuff happen in different areas, and I don't even think there's any of that. Like I think maybe Aloy like shivers if it's cold, but it's like you don't have to solve any new. Like I guess I keep talking about puzzles, but like maybe I
That's
just
what
love
you like
puzzles.
better, yeah.
But like you don't have to make any decisions when you go. Where if it's cold, you don't have to wear
That's
heavy
true.
clothes. If it's
Although
hot,
her-
you don't have
her
to do.
menstruation cycle is linked to the moon in real time, which I think is
Okay.
awesome. I was just trying to derail things so we can pass our final checkpoint because it's about that time. But I think I don't want an answer to this, but I'm going to send this question home with our listeners. Are video games one of the only media, besides some fringe films, where boredom is an important building block. And I don't like boredom in the sense of travel. Because I don't know that any other medium is like, yeah, but it would lose something if you didn't walk from here to there. Even in life, I would omit that if I could.
Well, we made that argument for Grand Theft Auto in particular.
Yeah, but you argued
you hated
against me, so it's not resolved yet.
No,
Till you agree with me, or we're both dead.
There's going to be no Hegelian dialectic here, my friend.
Yeah, can you go ahead and intro this segment, Adam?
Sure. This is Keep or Delete, where we decide whether this game belongs on the celestial hard drive that encapsulates the best games.
Yes.
We haven't put a number on that. We don't know if aliens are going to find it, but we got to save it anyway.
In case they play it.
In case they play it.
Am I the first to
I don't.
say?
Why not? Let him do it. Let him do it. Oh, yeah, you do it.
I feel kind of bad because I feel like we've been ragging on the game largely through this conversation, but I like the game. I had a fun time playing it. I thought the story was interesting enough that I played through the entire thing. Like, it's different enough from other games that I was engaged with it. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just wish it was a tighter experience. But yeah, I would absolutely keep it. I really did enjoy it.
Delete. Not with extreme prejudice, but only because of what we said earlier. I like to keep like the standout one of a franchise, and I'm banking on it was successful enough financially. I think there will be a number 2, and I think number 2 will be better than number 1. So I'm banking on keeping number 2, and if I'm wrong, I'll regret this decision. But
You know
delete
what?
for now.
I said that this is it'd be one of the best games of the year any
That
other year.
Uh-huh.
And as we've talked, I'm like, oh yeah, like this game has so much potential that I don't feel good about keeping it because it didn't realize it. And also, I still believe the story is finished. I still believe that V2 is not going to be interesting.
There's
me.
more story in the sense that the bad guy's not beaten yet, but there's not going to be another twist on the magnitude of
Kinda
the
shrugged.
twist.
You played
Yeah.
the DLC though, right?
Yeah.
Which is a different bad guy.
It is. It doesn't resolve. So, like, number 2 is obviously still coming.
Right.
Because the end of Lieutenant Daniel's betrayal
So you didn't find
is
that
still coming.
You didn't find the new bad guy satisfying enough to be like could that have held up a new version of the
It's
game?
like Adam said, where it's a thing that fits in the world as if Batman were fighting a new villain.
Right.
But I guess when I get a big sci-fi offer, I am in it for the twist. And I think the idea that you're genetically descended from so-and-so, and this is why, and that a marriage of like, this is how the newly primitive people view it in a mythological way. But if you're barely smart, you can figure out this is code for genetic manipulation. This is code for weather control. This is what actually happened. All that magic is not continued because... And I didn't realize this, but Adam made me realize it in the last hour. What else are you going to add?
That's
like,
the thing.
The
Right.
twist
It
is the
just gives
twist,
it all
and it's
away.
revealed now.
That's my concern.
That
is
is
that,
sad.
Like, if I knew there wasn't going to be Horizon Zero Dawn, I would keep this game. Like a 2. If I knew there wasn't going to be a 2, I would keep it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is a great game. But I know there is going to be one. I've realized over the course of this hour, I kind of want a much bigger or different experience out of this premise.
Right.
But I'm also concerned that
They can't
there
top
isn't any
that
more narrative
story.
that I care
Yeah.
about. At
Yeah.
least I don't know how there could be.
Someone can always come in and write a new narrative in
Sure.
the world from scratch that you become re-engaged
Or
in.
maybe there's an Empire Strikes Back of this.
But
where
I
it's
don't
like,
think there's
it
any more.
deepens a lot.
Yeah,
I
there's
don't
no
know.
more punchlines.
It's
going to
be a much smaller overall concept that
Yeah,
that
it
you'd
can
have
be.
to.
How can it be? And me still
That's
care
what
the
I
same.
would want, though.
Yeah. Well, I almost wish the first game was just quite a lot smaller. Now that I'm thinking about
Yep.
it, I wish they told about a fifth of that story.
Yep.
And now, I can't remember exactly what you said, but it made me think like less information, like more just environmental storytelling would have made this game so much more engaging to me personally. Like, I wish I'd ended that game and not known.
What happened?
Not been told what happened.
They blew their whole wad narratively here.
The twist
Yeah.
could have come at the end of 2 or in the middle of 3, frankly.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, and there's a part of me that's like, I want to applaud this game for being willing to spool out their story, and maybe we're just short-sighted, and like these writers are like,
They've got 2 more beats.
motherfucker, I got a Hades on a Hades.
That's
I got
gonna
an
surprise
Inception
you.
level
Yeah.
Hades. And you know what? I'll be there to keep that game. I'll keep the shit out of that game. This one gets deleted.
Oh, shit. So it's 2-1.
All right.
But Ryan plays on hard, so his vote counts double, so that's a tie. No one has been one-upped.
I really hope the designers of this game for 2 just hit a home run. That would make me so happy
Oh, I'd
because
be
I'm rooting for this
thrilled,
game
yeah.
big time. I'm rooting for it.
And Aloy is a great pro tag.
My favorite in ever
For like a new open world game, yeah.
very high
Yeah.
on the protagonist list.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Alrighty, that's it for 1Upsmanship. Thank you so much for joining us, Ryan.
Thanks for having me. Sorry I scrambled so hard
you're fine.
in the intro.
Sorry we
loved
steamrolled
that.
the shit out of our guests. Try telling, or please tell, I beg you to tell our listeners where they can find out more about your work and what you're up to right now.
You can go read my webcomic that I haven't updated in 4 years at 3wordphrase.com.
Still hundreds of funny comics there.
really good.
That's true. And then the show I'm working on right now is called Infinity Train. It's out in 2019, and
Cool.
I think it's going to mess people up.
Is that also a
It's gonna be
Cartoon
great.
Network joint?
It is a Cartoon Network joint. Yes.
Great.
That's so cool.
My good friend Owen Dennis is
And
the
I don't
creator of
think
it.
you rose to the compliment bait I dropped at the beginning of the episode, so I will say that today I learned from Ryan that storyboarding a show, in some cases, we can't speak for all workflows, basically means you write it. So if you look up Ryan, I think a lot of people who are fans like me thought, oh, good for him, he got a storyboarding job. I bet that pays the bills. I can't wait when he gets back to writing. No, the regular show is awesome, and it's awesome in part because Ryan is writing it with his storyboard. So yeah, I'm glad your talents are being like fully exercised. I was worried that you were storyboarding other people's writing. I'm very pleased.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Yeah,
I appreciate
that's all.
that. Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
There's
It
no
was a
graceful
great
response to a compliment of that magnitude.
It's hard to take compliments. It's pretty
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
Just I just want one more last thing. I know
Please.
we're at the end.
But like, fuck you personally.
Was there ever an outfit based on robot shit in this game that you thought was cool? Was there ever one outfit you're
No,
like,
they're
what
all
a cool
they're all
outfit?
silly.
They're all fucking stupid.
Except the final shimmery game-breaking one.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
That
Which
one
is
was pretty
also
chill.
visually distracting and annoying, though.
It
The
is.
shimmering bothered
But it's
me
a
like 20
beautiful
minutes.
effect in
Yeah.
and of itself. I also, Fallout has this problem the worst. I beg Fallout to at some point transcend. I want to upgrade my armor piece by piece over time, but does it have to all look like fucking dog shit?
Yeah.
Like any combination looks bad.
Yeah, does it have to be like retro futuristic clown?
Slapped together
Clowns,
like
robes.
Mad Libs,
Yeah.
sci-fi.
It really is. It's like the Mad Libs of robot tribalism.
Yep.
Like that's what this is.
Mad Max, Mad Libs Road. All right. The AC kicked off, making me just realize for the first time that it's been on.
So sorry
Love
if you've
that.
been hearing the pleasurable room we've been broadcasting this in.
Peace out.
Adios.
Work complete.